out here for a Friday afternoon. I didn't know what kind of crowd I would get here being next to last session of the day, so thanks everyone for coming out. Couple words before we get started, in case anyone was wondering. Profit is not guaranteed. Always read the fine print. So I make no guarantees as to what profit you will see. Second thing, I've got to do the quintessential speaker selfie. I don't know how I'm going to do that with a giant room, but guess maybe we'll go both ways here. All right. Can't wait to find all the weird stuff in the background of that shot. All right. So I do want to say, too, this is the first time I've given this talk, so I planned on it being a little shorter than the full hour. I want you to ask questions, so feel free to raise a hand, interrupt me, shout it out, whatever you feel like doing. That'll help me, figure out what you guys actually want to hear about. So, a few words about me to get me started. My name is Leo Guinan. I'm currently a software engineer for Cardinal Health. I work in their Fuse office, which is their kind of innovation center retail business. So, doing a lot of fun things over there. Got 2 kids, ages 8 and 5, both boys. Pretty wild. Most days I have to drive into the office about an hour each way if I'm lucky. That is important. Why? Because of time. Time is not something I tend to have a lot of. But, looking back at my development history here. So coming out of college, started as a Java engineer, worked on a Java Spring MVC app, did some front end, some back end, middle tier stuff, some stuff on the service layer, did some JSPs, built with Maven and then Gradle, whole bunch of different things. So, full stack soup, right? A little bit of everything thrown at you. So, I was working there for a few years, and then I got an offer to join another team where I was on the enterprise front-end team where we were working on developing a whole new UI framework. So most of the stuff that I just done, not so valuable anymore. Doing things with React, Angular, Foundation, Bootstrap, whole new technology stack. Had to evaluate them, kind of figure out the different build systems there, Webpack, Gulp, Grunt, a little bit of everything, right? So that lasted another couple years, and then I moved on to a new role, new company, where I was a front-end tech lead on an e-commerce system where it was built on top of Oracle ATG. Also, a side note, if you ever want to get contacted by a ton of recruiters, throw Oracle ATG on your resume. Apparently, they're really hard to find, and they will come out of the woodwork after you. It's a big kind of enterprise-level CMS. So that was more JSPs, a lot of front-end stuff, JavaScript, libraries. They were looking to switching towards React. So at least at this point, these were technologies that I'd worked with before. So that was a nice change of pace. Another year, new company, back to Java. This time it's all service layer stuff. So, no more front end, just databases and Java services. It's great. That brings me to the current team I'm on right now. Any guesses what I'm working on? Python. So Python, Airflow, a lot of data ETL stuff, even a bit of C#, .NET, SSIS, legacy code. So, I'm tired just talking about all that stuff I dealt with. There is a ton of different technologies out there. And that doesn't even count all the different libraries, testing tools, anything like that I used, right? it's one of the problems we face as software engineers. Uh, Technologies, tools evolving all the time. And that's great because I don't know about you guys, but I like to spend a lot of time learning new things. Oh yeah, but I don't have time, right? Makes it really tough to try to explore outside of your comfort zone and really try to pick up new technologies. Um, so what can we do? Oh, again, learning takes time, right? So, bit of a nerd. I'm sure no one else here is, so if you don't know what that's like, I have a ton of like Raspberry Pis just floating around the house, right? I think I'm up to like 5 or 6 of them. Well, my wife came to me, and she wanted to be able to print from her phone. I have an older printer. Okay, it doesn't sound like a bad problem, right? Okay, well, great. I've got a Raspberry Pi. I'll just set that up as a print server. Right? Seems like a good use for it. Probably can't be too hard, right? Okay, for the most part, it really wasn't that bad. I had to set up cups, so the Linux kind of print server package, and gave me some fits here and there. But in the end, ended up learning about cups. Actually picked up a bit of Linux server administration. Some networking things that I had to play around with. So, all right, wasn't a complete waste of time. Not really anything that I'm doing now at work, but at least the Linux server admin stuff has helped. We have to deploy to several different types of Linux hosts, and so getting more comfortable with that sort of thing really did help out quite a bit. So, to recap, I was able to solve a problem for my family. Got to play around with some of the tech I had just kind of lying around. And, was able to level up some skills that might actually help my career at some point. Not a bad use for time, right? All right, so move forward in time just a little bit here, and I start getting into home automation. Nothing terribly fancy, but a couple voice assistants, Google, Alexa, all the fun stuff. Kids are really fun with voice assistants. I don't know if anyone's had small kids play with voice assistants. Hearing them argue with Alexa is always interesting. Also, my 5-year-old thinks Alexa is a demon, I think, that lives in a cylinder. Yeah. But when I was talking to someone at work, he introduced me to Home Assistant, which is kind of this like web interface you can set up and really control pretty much everything home automation-wise. It's a pretty neat little package. Oh, and hey, they've even got a version of it that's for Raspberry Pi. I've got a few of those. So I install Home Assistant on the Raspberry Pi. This isn't mine, by the way.